friends, and welcome back to Michelle Gay's classroom, where we're looking at forensic science again today, guys. And guess what? We're looking at mystery powders. I have a mystery powder here that we're going to see what it is. I found this bag of powder in my pantry. Now, I can't use it for cooking if I don't know what it is. So, today we're going to become expert forensic chemists. Do you know what a chemist does? You know, when crime scene investigators go out and collect evidence, they collect all types of evidence. Last week we looked at collecting fingerprints. Sometimes they collect shoe prints, they collect soil, sometimes they collect blood, sometimes they even find powders laying around. And so when the detectives are out there and they see white powder, they think it is some type of drug, unfortunately. So in order to find out if it's a drug, it has to go to the forensic lab. And at the lab, they do a series of tests where either it's going to rule it as a drug and part of the evidence, or it's going to rule it out. So they look at chemical properties and physical properties of the evidence to determine what type of substance is in the bag or the evidence that they found. Sometimes it's just spread out on the floor or on a table, and they have to use certain instruments to collect it so that they do not contaminate the evidence. And so we don't want to contaminate our evidence either. But we're going to look at several different white powders to see which one is in this bag, so I know if I can cook with this or not. All right, let's get ready, guys. We're going to explore and we're going to test several powders, and we're going to use water, vinegar, and iodine to determine the mystery powder in the bag. If you want to participate, which I hope you do, you're going to need some materials. Here's your material list. For this experiment, you will need 4 types of white powder, and make sure one of those powders is in the mystery bag. You will need a magnifying lens, 3 to 4 pipettes or dropper, a spoon. You will need iodine, water, and vinegar. Also, boys and girls, you will need black construction paper labeled with the names of each substance you have. In the description box, I will leave you a link to this page for you to complete as you're doing the investigation. Now, pause the video and go and get the materials that you need. And if it's going to be another day, that's fine. You can come back to the video and complete this investigation with me. Before you start, make sure there's an adult with you for this investigation. Also, remember, with safety, do not taste any of these items because you do not want to ingest any of this. So do not taste the item. Before we begin, there are 2 things I want you to know. I want you to understand the difference between a physical property and a chemical property when the CSI or crime scene investigators are looking for evidence, and also when the forensic chemist is in the lab testing for evidence. When it's the physical property of the evidence, it is the evidence as is without coming into contact with another substance. For instance, When I look at the physical properties of this, I know that it's white. If I touch it, I can get the texture of it. If I smell it, I can smell it. And so I'm going to look at the physical properties and compare it to another white substance and see what the physical properties are there. Well, when there's chemical properties, that means that if I put this white substance in water or vinegar or some of the iodine, then I'm looking for a reaction. It may change by bubbling up, it may change by color, it may change the texture of it, but it's going to make some type of chemical change to the substance. And so that's going to help you determine the mystery powder once we complete this chart. All right, if you have any questions concerning this mystery powder, this mystery powder investigation, please leave it in the comments below for me, or you can ask your teacher, you can ask your mom or dad, or you can even look on the internet, and I will leave a link below for you to follow. Okay, so we're set up. So I want you to set up yours the same way I did mine. I have my mystery powders, I have them labeled, and I have my cups over to the side and the pipette. Now, let's first take our magnifying lens and look carefully at the baking powder. Notice while you're doing that, go ahead and touch. Get a feel for it. Does it feel soft? Does it feel grainy? And write your information down on your sheet. Appearance of baking soda. All right, you want to put the color. If it has lumps in it, whatever you can put to describe and how it touched. Doesn't really have a smell. All right, the first one was baking soda. I think I said baking powder. The next one is baking soda, and they look really similar. Oh, but let's feel it. This one feels powdery, much softer than the baking soda. All right, and when I press it around, it looks different looking through the lens here. You know what would be neat, guys, is to pull out the microscope and put a sample under there and even get a closer look. All right, so then we're going to record on our paper the way the baking powder looks and the texture and the smell. Let's see if we have a smell on this one. Not much of a smell to me. All right, and then we're going to look next at the salt. How does that salt feel? Feels grainy, like little bitty grains. If I look under my lens, I can see the shapes. If you've ever seen salt on a microscope, and I'll put a picture up here, you can see that it looks like cubes. All right? It's white and grainy and no smell. Now we're going to move on to the sugar. Let's feel the sugar. Oh, the sugar feels grainy also. Actually, and it feels harder than the salt that I have. Let's look closely. It's white. And actually, when you put these two together, you really wouldn't know the difference unless you what? Did you say taste? That is correct. Unless you taste it or it's already been labeled for you, you really can't tell the difference in these two, nor can we tell the difference in these two. And last, let's look at our mystery powder over here. Okay, we're going to record. Oh yeah, feels soft. Let's look at the lens. Okay, let's see if there's a smell. Not really. All right. Clean my hands off. Okay, So if you would notice on our sheet, we're going to first test baking soda with the reaction of water, then the reaction of iodine, and then vinegar. Okay, so let's get our dropper, and we're going to first test with water. Let's observe. We're going to put the water up here. This is the baking. Yeah, that's water. Making sure. All right. Let's observe. A little bit more. See if you can see that. Right, if you notice, it's just sort of dissolving. It's dissolving away. Okay, so we're going to put dissolving or clear or grayish. Let's try the iodine next. And be careful with the iodine. You don't want to stain anything. So let's get a couple of drops. Okay. Let's give it a moment. Well, let's look at the color. So the iodine changed it. It looks just red, but it didn't do anything to the actual baking soda other than dissolve it or clump it up. So we're going to put clump. All right, and last, we're going to put in the vinegar. Oh wow, look at the vinegar. What occurred? It began to fizz and bubble. Fizz and bubble. So we're going to put that. All right, so that's our baking soda. Let's pull it back so you can see all three reactions again. And we're going to move on to the baking powder. And we're going to do this one quicker. All right, let's start off with our water. Oh, it looks like it's fizzing. We got a few bubbles. Yeah, okay, so with the baking powder, I put the water in there and it bubbled up. Right, so let's put that. Okay, let's try the iodine. What do you think is going to happen? It actually just rolled off. It's just sitting on top of it. It's not dissolving. It just rolled off of it. Just sitting on top. Okay, and now let's try the vinegar. What do you think? Bubble, fizz, no reaction. Oh, we got another fizz. So this one really fizzed up more than the first one. All right. Oops. And fizz. All right. And bubbles, lots of bubbles. What do you think is going to happen when we test the salt? All right. We're going to do our water. Okay. It absorbs in the water and it's starting to liquefy and dissolve. Iodine. Ooh, let's see. Ooh, actually, let's look at our lens. Where did I put it? Uh-oh. It's okay. All right. Yeah, look at the salt. Okay, it took the color of the iodine, but it's not dissolving like it did in the water. And last, our vinegar. All right. Oh, now, if you notice with the vinegar, it kind of gave a little bubble, but mostly it spread out and it dissolved quicker. So make a note of that. You want to make all your observations, everything that you see occur, so you can compare it to the final one. Okay. And our sugar. Do you think we're going to get the same reaction with sugar as we did with salt? All right, water. Okay. Oh yeah, it dissolved quickly. Because you know when you put sugar in water and you want to make lemonade, or if you put it in coffee like I love, it's going to dissolve. Let's try the iodine. If you need iodine, you can just get it at a Walmart, Dollar General, in the drug area where the bandages and things are. Okay, it sort of did like with it dissolved it, and it didn't dissolve as quickly as it did with the water, but it is dissolving. And let's test the vinegar. And with the vinegar, it spread out. It's a big spread out with that vinegar. Gives a different reaction than it does with water. And it dissolved, but it didn't dissolve quickly like it does with water. Test number 1, water. Okay. It's liquefying. Test number 2, iodine. Let's put it right here. It's rolling off, but it's starting to saturate a little bit. And the last test, vinegar. Oh, it's fizzing and bubbling up. So based on this, we know it is going to either be baking powder or baking soda because of the reaction between those two compared to the salt and the sugar. So we're through with our observations and we've written everything down. So if we look at baking soda and the mystery powder, these two look alike. Let's look at the baking powder and compare. This one has absorbed more. All right. Look at the baking soda with the vinegar. Compare it to the mystery powder with the vinegar. They look very similar and they have the same type of bubbles. But if we look at the baking powder and the vinegar, it is continuing to fizz. It is still fizzing and it is not dissolving as quickly as the baking powder. So when we use deductive reasoning, we have looked at all of our evidence, all of our information in the lab, and we can conclude that the mystery powder is baking soda. What was your mystery powder? Leave me a comment below and let me know what outcomes did you have from Well, solving a mystery is not easy. especially at a crime scene. When you find evidence that you just cannot identify with your eyes or with your hands because you're not sure of what that trace evidence is, that's why they bring in the forensic chemist. The chemist will be able to analyze the substance of the unknown material and compare it to known materials to either rule it as a particular evidence, substance, or to rule it out. I have one more lesson on forensic science for you. So I hope that you will join me next week to learn more about forensic science and continue to become an expert child forensic scientist. Have a wonderful and great day, friends.